All right, everyone, welcome back into another Fantasy Golf video. We have a new tournament and a new course this week with the Truist Championship. We'll be breaking that down. It's going to be kind of a fun video because, well, basically every single week with Fantasy Golf, we know what to be expecting. We know the course history. We know which key stats to be looking at. And it just comes down to whether or not the golfers that are maybe mispriced or misvalued show up or not. And it also depends on the odds that we are getting. Because this is a new course, new tournament, there's a lot of little things to get into. So it is going to be fun to break down as well. So with that, let's go ahead and touch on everything we need to know for this tournament. So getting into this tournament, I think we should just go ahead and take a peek at what are the unique characteristics of this course. So first and foremost, at a lower yardage total this week, okay, that's what we're looking at there, and it's a par 70 as well, okay. What we need to look at is kind of just the course as a whole and kind of what to expect based off of that, so we can determine maybe what key stats to be looking at. And because we don't have any course history, we're going to have to use comp course history. Comp course history is not something I typically like to use because, you know, when we have course history, it's the most reliable in terms of like trying to compare results. Basically, comp course history, typically speaking, is just as relevant as the fifth start at a course. So like obviously the last 4 years, if you go to that fifth year, that's when comp course is typically the most relevant data-wise. So I don't always like to look at that, but we are going to look at some comp courses here as well. And so I just want to show you guys a couple of pictures of this course while we're talking about this. So it's A.W. Tillinghast course designed in 1922, restored by Keith Foster in 2013 and 2014. It is a typical Parkland style course, guys. They do have typically tight fairways, which the rough is apparently going to be thick. We do see some fescue as well, kind of deep protected bunkers in there as well, bank grass as well. So there's a lot of bunkers. There's not a lot of water hazards on this course. There's a few, but not too many that you typically need to worry about. It's mostly protected with some green side bunkers and then just the undulating greens as well. They kind of have levels to them as well. And it's a fun course in terms of like what we could potentially be looking at. And so when I was thinking of potential comp courses, I kind of think of Winged Foot, and I also think of LA Country Club. I actually think LA Country Club would probably be the most accurate, but due to the fact that we haven't seen those two courses in quite some time, I want to look at maybe some that aren't as, you know, right on par, but still going to be, I think, still statistically useful. I'm kind of thinking the RBC Heritage, and then a little bit of TPC Sawgrass in there as well. So Harbortown Golf Links, TPC Sawgrass are two comparable courses for me. Then you could also look at Colonial Country Club for the Charles Schwab Challenge. So for that, we're going to be looking at the 2024 results, and then Sedgefield as well, guys, for the Wyndham Championship. Again, that's going to be more the 2024 results, but I think those are the most comparable, some of them being par 70 courses, length style wise as well. A lot of them do promote accuracy off the tee. A lot of them are tighter fairways as well, but again, it's not like a one-for-one swap. I think the LA Country Club and the US Open would be the most comparable if we were going to go down that rabbit hole. But with that, and with like the tight fairways and kind of the green complexes, I do think we want to be looking at good drive percentage. And we don't know, guys. It's a guessing game. If anyone's saying they know what the key stats are going to be, it's a complete guess, okay? But I think looking at like driving accuracy, good drive percentage is going to be a good way to go. Maybe ball striking as well, where you still want to be hitting the fairway, which obviously total driving goes into that, which is part of that. I do think birdie to bogey ratio, because it is a no-cut event, we still need to talk about that. It is a no-cut event. And so typically speaking, no-cut events, we're doing studs and duds. We're just looking at golfers that can score. We're typically looking at birdie or better percentage. But I do think this is a course that maybe it won't be as easy scoring, just kind of looking at the dynamic and course layout. That being said, it's always interesting with these events where a course is being played for the first time. How will they set it up? Look at something like the 3M Open. When that first came on tour, it was an extremely easy setup. They have since kind of brought that back a little bit and have made it play a little bit more difficult as well. They want golfers to like the course, but they don't want it to be too easy as well. It's a weird balancing act there as well. So we don't know exactly how it's going to play. Okay, that is going to be a guessing game there as well. That's kind of the fun of it here. And so I do think this is going to be a driving accuracy. And I do think it's going to be a second shot course in simple. So stroke gain approach we're going to be looking at there as well. And then stroke gain around the green because of the green complexes that we have here, guys. I do think that's going to be part of the setup where we do want to be concentrating on golfers that are not going to lose strokes around the green, especially again on a new course where they might not know exactly where to miss. You're not going to want to target golfers that are not good around the green. All right, so apologies, guys. I did just notice that I didn't update the left-hand slides that you typically see during this video. That was still from last week, so I have updated that now. Apologies for that, for any confusion there. We'll go ahead and get back into the video. And so again, just getting back into the specialists, all the players that are popping up as good specialists are really not shocks. I do want to call some bad specialists here, guys. So looking at, we scroll down here, like it's a little bit shocking to me. Keith Mitchell's popping up, not a good specialist. Jordan Spieth popping up, not a good specialist. Daniel Berger, he's a play that I'm going to be on later on in this video. Don't love the fact that he's popping up as a bad specialist there as well. So that's a little bit concerning. We'll go ahead and get into the top stat fits for this week, guys. And the top stats for this week are really not shocking. Some of the top golfers really in this tournament are some of the best stat fits: Justin Thomas, Patrick Cantlay, Daniel Berger, Collin Morikawa, and Russell Henley. Again, the key stats that we are looking at are stroke gain approach, ball striking, good drive percentage, and stroke gain around the green. As always, we're looking at stroke gain total and stroke gain tee to green as well. And the birdie to bogey ratio we're looking at as well. And so really no shocks in terms of the good stat fits, guys. Keegan Bradley's popping up in there. Substraka, Rory's popping up in there. So we like that. Okay, on paper, I actually think this week would be a good week if it weren't for the fact that we haven't seen this course and don't know really what to expect. It's an educated guessing game once again, and hopefully our educated guesses are correct. Let's go ahead and check out which golfers are in the best recent form in the field. Rory's obviously number one with just 3 victories over his last 7 starts. Biggest concern with Rory is he really going to show up at this event? Can't really determine that. And then we got Corey Connors and Justin Thomas. Honestly, they're basically the same in terms of recent form as a whole. And then you got Daniel Berger, Shane Lowry, Tommy Fleetwood, Russell Henley. And so I would say, just looking at form-wise, guys, Rory clearly the best. And then look at the pricing, like Corey Connors being the second best in recent form, JT, Daniel Berger, Shane Lowry. Okay, so like the point I'm making is, typically speaking, we would do studs and duds for this week and feel pretty good about that. The issue that I think we have here is that if we were to tier like this player pool, and let's kind of show you guys the high tier right now, like it is clearly Rory as his own tier. And then like from Collin Morikawa down, I could argue down to, let's even say, you could probably do Sungjae, but let's just do Shane Lowry. Like there's not that big. Let's do Sungjae. There's not that big of a. You could even go down to Collin Morikawa, or sorry, Keegan Bradley as well. But there's not that big of a difference from Sungjae Im on paper to Collin Morikawa. Now, obviously, Collin Morikawa is going to rank out better. Xander Schauffele I like as well. I do like that, but especially when we're factoring the pricing, it's not that big of a difference, especially when we get into the mid-tier here, guys, like Corey Connors, Substraka, Daniel Berger. Like it is actually a little bit easier to make a fair and balanced build. And so let's just go ahead and highlight my top 4 plays in this pricing range, and we'll toss in Russell Henley there as well. So what I find interesting about this week is the pricing of Rory at only $12K. Okay, if Scotty was in this field, I feel like he would be $14K. And again, typically speaking for these events, we want to do these studs and duds approach, okay? Again, I don't know if we need to do that, but the fact that Rory is this cheap, I'm a little bit shocked by that. Collin Morikawa is coming in off of 2 pretty darn disappointing events as well. I don't know if I necessarily want to pay it for him. He should be a good fit for this tournament. He's the 3rd best specialist, 2nd best staff in the field. I would feel good about him. And then you also have JT coming in off of his victory. Typically speaking, we don't like to target those golfers after a victory. Just they typically have a letdown the next week. And so with that, even pricing wise, I'm looking at Patrick Cantlay and Russell Henley. I think they are actually good starting points. Now, Patrick Cantlay has been a little bit of a letdown in terms of his upside this year. And this is an event where we do want to be chasing some upside because it is no cut event. We want those golfers that can score. And I think that's partially the reason why some of those other golfers are a little bit higher. Where we'd be targeting Patrick Cantlay typically is because he is a safe and reliable option and he does have upside. With this being a no cut event, that doesn't typically matter as much. Now, he does have good comp course history and he is a good staff fit, guys. Top 4 staff fit in the field. His game does suit this course, obviously being the 4th best specialist in the field as well. So you can see why he's popping up. But the form is what's concerning, guys. A 5th at the Farmers, 12th at the Players, and 13th at the RBC Heritage. Like at the RBC Heritage, that's really not that good of an event being. And so I do kind of worry about his upside, but on paper, he does look like a good play. And then we do have Russell Henley, who did really hurt us 2 events ago with his 53rd place finish at the Masters, where he missed the cut, where he was seemingly coming in checking on the boxes, had one bad round, one clear outlier round, was able to bounce back extremely well at the RBC Heritage. He is actually someone like outright wise is my first click, guys. 35-1, feel pretty good about those odds for a golfer that is the best staff in the field, 7th best recent form in the field. And really, again, if you just take off one bad round where he just really got off to a slow start too, I think we wouldn't even be like, if he just simply made the cut there, I really don't think we'd be thinking about too much. At the AT&T Pebble Beach Prom, a similar signature event, 5th, Condon Classic 6th, Arnold Palmer Invitational obviously won that, another similar event, and then the RBC Heritage 8th. So he has been turning up in these types of events as well, and it wouldn't be shocking to see him win again, 35-1 for a golfer that's playing some of the best golf in the world. Like, you could argue top 5 golfer in the world right now. Don't need to get into we'll do it. Get into the list. Rory number 1 right now because he's been playing so well. Scotty, you might switch that after this week with how good Scotty played. I would still put Xander number 3, then 4 Bryson. And you could argue, well, Xander, whatever. Bryson's healthy right now. Xander's only had really one good start since he's been back. I get that. And then Russell Henley. There's a big gap actually after that. Colin Morikawa I thought would have been in there. Could toss in John Rahm, but he just lived golf. How do you really value that? I've went over that a bunch. The point is, we're getting a lot of great value here for Russell Henley, both outright-wise and DFS-wise. I think he's a pretty easy click for us. And I guess let's just go ahead and jump on into the mid-tier, the dark horse tier. These golfers are, I get why they're priced this way. It's part of the game. I get why their odds are going to be that way for betting purposes as well, but like kind of easy options for us. Let's start like Corey Connors coming in off of a poor event or at the RBC Heritage. Prior to that, have been playing some good golf. Overall, second best form in the field, like clearly a little bit too cheap, but again, I kind of get it. This is where like DFS wise, I think I'm going to be just going fair and balanced, which again goes against everything we know in terms of being profitable on these no cut events. And so don't exactly love that, but I do think that that's what we could present on paper. Like, again, because of some of the top end players maybe not being as foolproof plays, and these golfers probably all being a little bit too cheap, I think we're okay going with that. And so looking at Sepp Straka, I do like him at 45-1. I think that's a good number. Overall, has been playing some good golf. Played at the Zurich, 13th at the RBC Heritage Masters. Not a good result. That was disappointing. 5th at the API, 11th at the Condon. So, overall pretty good. Good staff fit. Do expect him to be someone that can at least score as well and has had success at similar courses. And then looking at Daniel Berger, the only concern with Daniel Berger is that specialist data, guys. 63rd there. But I do want to call it one thing, is that this is a unique course. And so some of the specialist data that we have coming into this, we typically don't see those style of courses too much. And so the point of that is that a lot of that data is probably during the time in which he was banged up and whatnot, trying to come back. He is fully back to his game right. And so we can kind of write that off a little bit. Still not great. Like, we still would like to see him playing better. But like in terms of like what we could dial in a little bit more, length, of course, a little bit shorter track, does well there. No cut event, 8th in the field in those type of events as well. So do like those aspects of it. Don't like the fact that he struggles on bent greens and whatnot. That's a little bit of concern. But just playing great golf as well. Okay, and so should be a safe play and also has that upside. I wouldn't be shocked to see him win. He's another one at 40-1. I feel pretty good about as well. Shane Lowry feels like a safe click, and the issue I have with Shane Lowry is kind of the issue I had with Patrick Cantlay is how much upside are we really going to get out of Shane Lowry this week? RBC Heritage 18th, Valspar 8th. That's great. API 7th, Condon Classic 11th. That's great. And I do think he's a safe play. If this was a full tournament field event, which I really wish it was, he'd be an easy click. Like, we just automatically click him. But I do worry about the upside. Like, I think we're going to get a top 20 finish out of him, but I do want to chase golfers I think could have the potential to the top 10 as well. So that kind of breaks down that tier. Let's go ahead and jump on into the low tier. I'm going to cheat a little bit because I want to toss in Keegan Bradley. Keegan Bradley is more of a mid-tier click, guys, but it has tremendous comp course history. And if you just think about this type of event, it would be an event in which you'd think Keegan Bradley would have some success. Shorter track, driving accuracy, all that stuff, smart golf, type of course, which again is kind of what I'm thinking. 12th best specialist, comp course history 6, recent form could be better, 22nd in the field, but 10th best stat fit. If you look at some of the courses they struggle at, though, they're not like overly shocking. Whereas at the RBC Heritage 18th, API 5th, if you break it down a little bit more, I get it. But again, I do get the pricing for him as well. Now we'll go down and jump into the mid tier. And again, it's like they just price all these golfers together. It's so weird. It's one of the weirdest things because I do think like Denny McCarthy, Davis Thompson, and Aaron Rai are all very similar plays on paper and all golfers that I'm like kind of happy to get to. Good comp course history, all decent stat fits, all just kind of a little bit mispriced. Now, the issue that I have here is, to me, they all do feel like the same plays, and it could just end up being getting a little bit lucky with which one you get to the most. Now, Denny McCarthy is ranked better than Aaron Rai, than Davis Thompson. We're probably doing that, but again, that's kind of the interesting part of this week. Now, from their guys, JT Poston's really the only other play in this tier that I think stands out to me. Okay, he does have some pretty good form going, 11 straight make cuts for him, has shown some upside finishes as well, 11th at the RBC Heritage, like that there, which is part of his comp course history. Not the best specialist, which is a little bit of a concern there, but that's also factored into his pricing. Not the best staff fit as well, but again, that's factored into his pricing. So I get that. Could I see him winning at 80-1? Potentially, but probably not a bet I need to get to. He's going to be more of a DFS click for me. Then let's go ahead and get into the value tier. I will say Max Graceman's somewhat interesting to me, guys. Let's pull him up here. In terms of players that have somewhat of ties to the area, Max Graceman's in there. So he's from Short Hills, New Jersey, but currently resides in Palm Beach Gardens. There, kind of interesting there, kind of like a lot of golfers. I mean, form hasn't been great. Like, we don't love that aspect of him, but he's cheap, and I could see getting to him potentially. Also have Lucas Glover, Tom Hoagie that I think are fine values, kind of shoulder shrug values. Ryan Gerard I would have been on a little bit more had he made the cut. These are all okay clicks. But with that, let's go ahead and get into the core plays for this week. Again, just kind of looking at Keegan Bradley and his price tag of 8.1. I feel like that's just an easy click to me. You can get him as an outright bet at 45-1. I like that. I think those are decent odds for him as well. Then for me, I do really like Daniel Berger. Again, the concern with him is he's not the best specialist. That is a big concern. I do like him as an outright bet as well at 40-1. But I think just given his pricing, again, just based off of how this week's breaking out to be DFS-wise, I think fair and balanced is actually kind of the way to go. And so with that, I do think Daniel Berger, who's playing great golf and is a top 5 stat hit, I can get to him. Seb Straka, who's the top 10 stat fit. Apologies for the graphic error there. He's kind of a slightly worse version of Daniel Berger, but I think he's a good click as well. And then the last one, JT Poston, just as price tag, I do think we are going to get good value out of him. I will say the one concern that I have with all 4 of these core plays, besides, I guess, Daniel Berger a little bit, is maybe not as much upside as I would want, like Keegan and Poston specifically, but at the same time, the pricing is baked into that. And so if we were to just put those 4 core plays into a kind of first look build here, guys, we have 8.7 left over. And so I did mention I want to get to Russell Henley at 9.4. That leaves me with 8K left over. I'm okay with Jason Day. He's someone that does pop up casually. You could potentially get to Danny McCarthy as well, who I decently like as well. That's kind of what I'm stuck with there. Let's go ahead and take a peek at what the 9-to-5 lineup optimizer is spitting out to us, and then we'll be getting out of here. And so as always, just need to give it 2 data points to go off of to start, and just rounding up on the first 2 golfers. They're going to click generate, just so again we can get kind of a good starting point lineup wise, see if what I'm seeing is what the data is seeing as well. A little bit, it does like Alex Norris, Davis Thompson, so somewhat of a mix of studs and duds, but also fair and balanced. So I'm kind of okay with that. We are seeing Rory's getting in there a little bit, which I like to see. Is getting a Patrick Hanley. Again, I like Patrick Hanley. Tom Hoagie, I think he's fine value as well. Brian Harmon, I'd rather get to JT Poston as well. So somewhat of the same thoughts, slightly different variances to it though as well. So interesting there, comparing the human element versus kind of the data AI element to it as well. Now that's going to do it for this video, guys. Make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. If you guys want access to any of the fantasy golf tools, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Get access to all the fantasy golf tools available on the website for just $10 a month. Including that monthly membership is going to be access to the PrizePicks and Underdog prop cheat sheets as well. Again, all for just $10 a month. Thank you guys for being here. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing. Appreciate you guys. I got to end with the keep cashing as well. So as always, let's keep cashing.